Alright, we're back with another Lantern Control video, again from leagues played on the weekend, and we open up kind of a medium strength hand here. I really like having the two Sagas and a Lantern. We have colored mana from our Spire, and I think between the two Pendings and the Thoughtseize, we have enough interaction for a fast deck that we can hopefully stabilize, and a slow deck Saga is really good against. So I think this hand does a good balance of kind of targeting two different types of decks that we could come up against, and we'll have a good game plan against either of them. We're going to start by just playing our Spire, running out our Lantern, just see what we're up against, and we're going to need colored mana next turn. We see Asmo, so it's going to be the Asmo Random Marty, Kadais to Kuldakar, food, Underworld Cookbook, Feasting Troll King, Oval Chase Devil, that kind of deck, which is generally a pretty decent matchup for us. We got good game against a lot of their plans. So they run out a Haywire Mite here, which is nice to see on the battlefield. Really good that we have Pending. It's a hand where you'll actually see in this game where Pending does a lot of work, where in places Assassin's Trophy wouldn't or would do it a lot. Assassin's Trophy would be a lot less efficient. So we really like having Pending in these games. And because our hand is reliant on a lot of Urza Sagas, I think they ran it out seeing Thoughtseize on top, which is reasonable if you know your opponent's going to Thoughtseize you next turn to dump your hate piece. Fortunately, we have the right answer here. We're just going to exile the Haywire Mite right away, and then play an Urza Saga. Seeing Codex Shredder on top is quite nice. It's going to allow us to have a bit more control of their top decks, and they are going to run out a Finale to go get Asmo. Not much we can do for this. Glad they're using Finale to get Asmo, not a Haywire Mite or something later, which they could have. So they get Asmo, they search out a cookbook. In this matchup, it's often hard to stop them from kind of having their cookbook loops, but fortunately the cookbook loops don't really kill us, so they're not kind of a huge, not really a big concern at all. So Saga ticks up. We do see another land on top, which is nice. We'll be able to kind of, if we get to bridge, like if we find a bridge on top after our two Sagas are gone, or after one Saga's gone, it's nice to have that extra land to keep up on mana. And then we're just gonna Pending the Asmo here. I think we just want to limit their board presence early, and kind of limit some of the value they're able to get. We could Thoughtseize here. There isn't a ton of stuff that we're really scared of from them that we can take. If they have something like Boseiju, we can't hit it with Thoughtseize anyway, so I think exiling the Asmo is right here. As we keep going, there's no point in milling the Troll King. We see another one on top. They want that in the graveyard anyway. And they're going to run out a cookbook, make a food and Goose. It's all fine, and they actually have another Asmo here. This is fine. Again, we're probably going to make some... We see they are playing Urza Saga, which explains the Haywire Mite, and we're probably going to make constructs here to hopefully kind of slow the game down a bit until we can find a bridge. But in order to do that, we are going to want to grab a Pithing Needle with Saga to name Asmo. Asmo Random Marty Kadais to Kuldakar, or something along those lines, very vaguely. Yeah, so we're going to tick up. We can make, if we float mana, because we have two Sagas, we can then float mana from the first Saga that'll be sacrificed, use it to make a construct with this one after we play a land, and then still use our Thoughtseize. Where if this was like Inventor's Fair or Academy Ruins, if we didn't have this land, we'd then have to use the colored mana or mana from Spire for this one, and then we wouldn't be able to Thoughtseize here. So yep, we do that. We grab the Asmo, or grab Pithing Needle, name Asmo, and just make a blocker. We're gonna Thoughtseize them. We see that they have Boseiju, which is a bit of an issue. At some point, this Urza Saga can go get another needle for Boseiju, so it's kind of less of a big worry. But we're gonna take the cookbook here just to limit a bit more of their easy food. With the Daredevil, they are going to be able to loop with one cookbook, but not the second one. So as we go here, they kind of have an interesting decision of when they're going to use Boseiju, as I mean, either they use it on something and we get a land, or Urza Saga just gets a needle and names it. And then, yeah, they're just going to run out some of their food producers. Street Wraith isn't a card we super want them to have, but we'll have an opportunity to deal with it in the future. Just limiting their instant speed draw, as this deck usually will not have too many instant speed draw effects. So once the lock is in place, it's fairly easy to maintain. And then they elect to, important to note, they only have one food, so they can't use Asmo. They elect to let us pass with Boseiju. Yeah, we're just gonna mill ourselves, kind of trying to dig for some more helpful answers. And yeah, so they elect to use Boseiju to needle the Asmo. I don't think it makes a huge difference, kind of what they needle here, but yeah. So we're gonna grab our second basic. Important to note, there's only 2 basics in the deck, so if they're already out, you kind of can determine whether or not to use Boseiju. It is a May ability, so you don't have to. And we're gonna run out, make another construct, and go get a needle on Asmo. As we don't currently have bridge, it's gonna take us, a little bit to find it, and we want some. We can hopefully find it quickly with Shredder and Lantern, but we kind of want some blockers just to prevent us from dying in 2 turns. So we grab the needle on Asmo, and we know what their hand is at this point, just the Daredevil. So there's no point in Thoughtseizing it, because they can just discard a card next turn and get it back. We could Thoughtseize and Surgical, but I think we're gonna have to Surgical the Troll King in order for it to stop coming back. Basically every turn, as they're able to make food with both their geese and cookbooks. So we're gonna want to take it out. So they're gonna do their Daredevil stuff. We're not gonna respond to that. And then, like I said, we're gonna double block the Troll King here. And as they go to make a food token, we want to do this in response. So they don't have any other ways of making a food token on board. If we don't do it in response, they'll be able to bring it back in response to Surgical. Taking a look at their deck here, once we get bridge down, nothing. Again, like we've seen in other matchups, no good answers to bridge. Finale could get a Haywire Mite, but that's already been exiled, so that's another situation where the exile clause is very valuable, as Finale goes and gets it from the graveyard. So now it's just kind of, can we find bridge before they're able to get kind of bigger creatures. We're not really too worried about much. Seeing a Stirrings on top is very nice. And yeah, we cast this, we see a bridge on top, and they concede to bridge. They know they don't have any outs, so let's get into game 2. So in terms of sideboarding for this deck, I'm going to take Haywire Mite out. One thing that I like to do in decks that rely on Haywire Mite a lot is we're usually going to be putting a needle on Haywire Mite, so ours is not super valuable. Generally like to save it more for kind of the leyline binding matchups that don't have their own Haywire Mite. So we take one of those out, we take Cookbook out, and then kind of just Inquisition and Stirrings, just trimming a little. In terms of what we're bringing in, we're then bringing in Welding Jar, a Pithing Needle, and then Stone of Eric and Soulless Jailer, and a Spellskite, just to kind of get around some of their removal. This game, our hand is not great, but it has kind of a early interaction in Pending, and then a decent amount of hate for a lot of the stuff they're trying to do. So we'll kind of go quickly through some of these early turns. There's not a ton of huge decision points. They're going to run out an Asmo, have the value of Street Wraith for that there. We're going to get a Cookbook, and we are hopefully, yeah, we're just going to run out a Shredder here. We're not going to Pending the Asmo, as without Urza Saga, we kind of don't really care as much about its activated ability, and we'd rather use the Pending to shut down a synergy piece like Cookbook, or something else on their side. So we're not going to pending yet. And then we're going to mill them. We happen to mill the Seiju. Just kind of, we want more stuff in their graveyard, and we see this new card, Souls of the Lost. We're not going to be we're not going to mill them anymore now that we know they're playing this, but it's basically in a lot of ways can be an upgraded Tarmogoyf, as it's going to get very big very quickly, as they are going to put a lot of permanents into their graveyard. Now again, it just hides behind bridge, so hopefully we can get one of those. But as we go through here, we're just going to play a Needle on Haywire Mite, as we know they're going to be able to get it with Urza Saga, and we did only see one Boseiju last game, so it's possible they might have more in their sideboard to bring in, but for now we're going to hope they only have one, and we'll see if that's true later on. We're just going to run out of stone here. We kind of want to get some 1-drops out, get our hand empty. This can also shrink the Souls of the Lost, which can hopefully maybe buy us some time in the future. But we kind of need a third land and bridge, so we're not really in a great spot here. And they're just going to appear to go on construct plan as they just pass through here. And we are gonna mill them. We're probably using stone anyway, so doesn't hurt to get things out of their yard. And we draw an Ancient Stirrings, which can hopefully get us a land, and it does. So we find a Saga. Still not great, but like, it is great, but we are going to need a bridge too, and a bridge quickly. And then we're going to pass through here. We want to use the stone on their turn, just after they've kind of done the other things that they're going to do. Hopefully, we're going to be likely very dead here anyway, but it doesn't hurt to play to your outs. You should always play to your outs, as they make a construct here, get their Daredevil back, and then as we pass through here, they're just going to make more bigger guys, and then we're going to exile their graveyard in case they have a like Pithing Needle that they're going to go get. We draw land, so and then they're just going to make a food, and they're able to smack us for basically lethal here. And yeah, there's nothing we can do. If we top deck bridge, we are at 1, and yeah, we don't find it anyway. So let's get them back in game 3. Game 3, we actually decided to bring back in the Inquisitions and take out the Jailer and the Stone. Just being on the play allows us to be a bit more proactive and kind of have that either turn 1 disruption or turn 1/2 disruption, kind of being a bit more proactive instead of some of these cards which are a bit more reactive to what they're doing. We open up a hand here that's very similar to our game 1 hand, actually, almost identical, just a Ghoul Caller's Bell instead of a Lantern. We're gonna try it out again. It worked for us game 1, so it can't be that bad game 2. That was basically my exact thought process, was it worked game 1, hopefully it can work game 3. So they mulligan down to 6, which is nice. Again, we're going to start on Spire plus the Bell, just to get our colored mana online. And then, yeah, we see here kind of a standard start from them, as they play a Shadow Spear. It's fine. It's a Urza Saga target. Not a huge threat for us, but something to keep in mind. So we're just going to play a Saga and Thoughtseize here. Get some full information on what we're working with. And they're gonna force the Vigor us here. This definitely hurts quite a lot. I definitely think we could have waited for the Urza Saga after we cast Thoughtseize, so it would have only got the Bell. They did mistime it probably a bit, but yeah, this is a rough blowout. We do fortunately have the second Saga, so hopefully we can recover. And as we take the Daredevil, we see that their hand really has nothing. That's kind of heavily reliant on Force of Vigor. They exile the Finale, so they kind of have they don't have a ton going on for us, which is nice. Obviously we take the Daredevil, and then we're gonna hope to play Saga and kind of hope that they don't have too much going on here. We draw Academy Ruins, which is nice. Will get us the ability to bring back things like Ghoul Caller's Bell. Unfortunately, with them blowing up our artifacts, Spire doesn't make colored mana, so it's not going to be online for a couple turns, but we're kind of both going into construct mode at this point, where as we draw a lantern here, we're going to run out the Academy Ruins. We want the reason to run out Academy Ruins here is that next turn we're going to untap and make a construct token, and we still want to have access to colored mana for something like Pending, or if we draw an Inquisition or an Ancient Stirrings. So I generally run out the colorless sources first, as long as the other sources are untapped, just so that next turn we'll have access to the colored mana from Spire. So they make a construct, and we're going to take a bit of damage here. They're going to make another one. We are 2. We didn't see Pithing Needle game 2, but that doesn't mean it isn't there, so we should still be playing with them having it. They grab a Haywire Mite, which would have been able to deal with our Saga, but they didn't have a land, which is great for us. So we're just going to be able to untap and use our Saga right away. And then here, yeah, so our constructs can likely very quickly get bigger than theirs, just we play more artifacts. And we're going to grab the Needle on that Haywire Mite. We don't want it exiling Lantern, and we can get Ghoul Color Spell back with Academy Ruins, so we actually are pretty close to having the lock here. We're going to run out of Glimmer Void, Painless Mana, a bit better than Spire, and then we're just going to exile one of their constructs. As we saw before with the Thoughtseize, they don't have a ton going on in hand, so if we can really apply some good pressure early, we should be in a good spot. And then we're just going to start getting in there with constructs. We will not trade constructs at this point with the other pending in hand. We don't want to trade. So they play a Stalker, another new card that has been seeing play in lots of decks. Kind of a 1/1 that grows and can be a removal spell at some point. They're going to get in again. We're just going to let them hit us. We have an answer for it next turn. So this is just going to be exiling the construct and then playing a couple lanterns, just so ours are getting very close to lethal. And then we see Cookbook on top, which can maybe get them some food, maybe last a little bit longer, but now that the constructs are gone, we don't have to worry about them buffing constructs. Also, we can use Academy Ruins to put Ghoul Color Spell on top next turn, and they take it down to 4, which means they are basically going to have to be able to block both of our constructs every turn for the rest of the game, which is a very good state to be in. They run out of Cookbook at this point. Even with Bridge on top, like we have this game locked up. They have to find an answer to our construct beatdowns and then an answer to Ensnaring Bridge, which is going to be extremely difficult for them to do. And yeah, we've basically won this game at this point. Where we put Ghoul Color Spell on top, just to if they have another Force of Vigor or something like that on top, we do kind of want to deal with it. But mainly just to make these guys into 6/6s, and even with Asmo being able to kill one of them, they're still gonna have to chump and then chump Asmo again. So like if they play Asmo here and Asmo's their only creature, they can kill one construct, but the other one will still be a good clock. They're just gonna spend the food gaining life here. Not really much they can do. They do the Daredevil loop and play Asmo. Yeah, so they can shoot down our constructs here, because of the life they gained, they are able to take one construct hit. So we're just gonna, we're just gonna smack them here. Just get them low, and then just run out Bridge. Might as well. We're at 9. Kind of don't want to get too risky. And now with Ghoul Color Spell, we have a pretty good lock here. I'm just gonna hit play, not click through everything manually. At this point, it's kind of getting extra mill rocks for ourselves, while also kind of locking them out. So we want to mill here, get rid of their instant speed draw and our land. Necromentia, obviously not good for us. They do find a way to draw it. Yeah, so we're gonna Ancient Stirrings here. Just grab an Urza Saga. Can make some chump blockers and get a piece, like a lock piece, in a couple turns. As we fast forward here, they do have Necromentia. They don't have that third land for it yet. I don't really know what they're naming with Necromentia, probably Codex Shredder. It doesn't really matter here. We already have Bridge, so kind of whatever they name with Necromentia is not really that consequential. They are going to force Saga and Bridge here, which is pretty bad with Necromentia, as they can use it. We're going to shuffle. We got to try to get them off drawing a third land. Just if they're not able to play it, we can get it back. And they're just going to play a Goose, which is not a third land. So we're just kind of sitting pretty at this point. We're able to get Bridge back. We're able to get Bridge, not Lantern back, but Bridge is more important here. Hopefully with 2 Force of Vigors out of the way, they don't have too many more of those. So yeah, we get Bridge back, just we need it to survive. Play Bridge and kind of go from here. Kind of skip through this. Don't want this to be a half-hour video again, so trying to keep it kind of short, but they'll cast Necromentia, naming and Snaring Bridge, kind of getting rid of our 3 other ones. Yeah, so they take the Bridge, kind of. Yeah, they take Bridge. Haywire Mite, we have an answer to. Beseiju, again, we have answers to. We're able to use Academy Ruins in our upkeep, get back a Lantern, have them shuffle or use Bell. Seeing Shredder on top is pretty nice. At this point, it's basically locked for them. Isn't too much they can do anymore. We know what's in their hand. They probably used Necromentia a bit incorrectly here, but you know, we'll take it. Always nice to get a win. I don't know if I have to show the rest of the game. We kind of keep doing the mill thing and eventually mill them out. Drawing the other Pithing Needle is nice, just to lock down even more of their outs. One thing here is they spend a lot of time sacrificing food tokens. Again, life total doesn't matter. We will mill the Finale as it can search the graveyard. Again, there's nothing in there that kills us, but just to be sure. Gilded Geese at 0 power. Fortunately, they don't have any instant speed ways of pumping it, so just run out Spell Bomb, be able to exile their graveyard, draw a card to get that needle, and yeah, they do sack a lot of food. I guess thinking we could name it with Pithing Needle, but we can't. And then at this point, it's just milling them out. So I'll try to do it quickly here, and when you're milling them out, we got 9 minutes again. A lot more time than our last matchup against Merfolk, but still kind of nice to have. We see some of our draws here where we would be able to take out a lot of their outs anyway. So I think even if they Necromentia Lantern here, like Necromentia earlier, I think we're still able to kind of lock down enough of their answers to it between all the rest of the cards we've seen that it wouldn't have mattered tremendously. But yeah, they keep playing it out, always they're right. And yeah, I'd encourage you skip through this stuff. If I might skip through it, might not, depends how quickly I'm trying to get this out. Probably won't, but with 3 mill rocks here, yeah, we just kind of mill them out pretty quickly. And yeah, we're going to use the Stirrings, hopefully find another one. I think another Codex Shredder would be the best, but realistically there's not much difference between it and Bell at this point. You'll notice we're only 23 to 22 cards, but we have Academy Ruins, so we're never going to mill out. That is something, if Ghoulcaller's Bell is your only mill rock, like say they Surgical Codex Shredder, or they answer all your Codex Shredders somehow and you don't have access to it, Ghoulcaller's Bell will work eventually if you have Academy Ruins. If you've milled your Academy Ruins, then you're in trouble, but with Academy Ruins you're fine, which is good for us. And yeah, as we click through here, just kind of keep milling them out. They're down to under 20 cards, so it should be pretty quick, as they are going to spend a lot of time gaining life and whatever, but that's fine. We like if you just yield to the triggers, and these decks that don't have any instant speed ways of drawing cards are really easy once they're locked. I'd say the decks that are full of instant speed ways of drawing cards, you kind of have to pay a lot more attention here. Resurgical taking their Street Wraith just to limit their instant speed draws, and we see when we're looking through they have one Force of Vigor in hand. So I kind of skipped through that quickly, but one Force of Vigor in the deck. So that's kind of what they're drawing to. If we can mill the Force of Vigor, they don't have any more options. And we're just going to go from there. 14 cards, we mill 3 a turn, that's a 4-turn clock. We see Codex Shredder, that's going to get it down to a 3-turn clock for us. And yeah, just milling them and keep it going. We're going to let them draw the swamp and then do all our milling at the end step of their turn. Basically, they'd have to hit like 8 or 9 draws in a row here that realistically matter and impact the board, which is not something they're going to do. Yeah, and we can mill down to 4 minutes, but we're fine. We see the Force of Vigor on top, and yeah, you might notice we actually left the Codex Shredder untapped there, just in case there's anything. I think it's just a good practice. Here's our good friend Inventor's Fair coming in at the most clutch times that we always need it. Super useful card. Go check out my video of why it's not needed anymore. And we mill them out from here. But yeah, so we get the win against Asmo Food. Nice to get another win against them. Close game for sure. Had some interesting moments. I like how similar our first and third game hands were, but again, Force of Vigor comes up and we're just gonna mill it. So good game, and we'll move on to the next one. So let me know if you've if you've ran into Asmo Food before, kind of what your thoughts on the matchup are. Would love to hear them. I find it's generally not too bad. Also the Steel Seeker versions are a lot of fun to play. So cool deck, but Lantern and Ensnaring Bridge are a good plan against it.